Hello and welcome to the Baltic Football Podcast, a show about football in Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia, part of the BalticFootballNews.com. Football season in the Baltics is finally about to begin, with Lithuania and Estonia kicking off their domestic championship at the end of this month and Latvia following suit on the 5th of March. Both Lithuanian and Estonian Super Cups have already been played, which means it's now time to sit down, take stock of 2024 and contemplate what 2025 might be like. This is our 2025 season preview, and let's start with Lithuania and make our way up north as we go. The 2024 A Lyga season was defined by Žalgiris Vilnius' dominant resurgence. After a disastrous 2023 campaign, Lithuania's most successful football club returned to its rightful place at the top, securing the championship with little resistance. A clear top three emerged early in the season. Hegelmann impressed with an outstanding tactical approach, finishing second under their brilliant coach Andrius Skerla. Meanwhile, Kauno Žalgiris claimed third place but fell short of expectations, nonetheless making their season feel a bit more like a disappointment than an achievement. One of the biggest surprises, if not the biggest, was the FK Dainava's remarkable fourth place finish, the highest in the club's history. On the other hand, the season had its fair share of disappointments. Defending champions FK Panevėžys endured a shocking collapse, finishing in 8th place, while FA Šiauliai also struggled, ending up in 7th. Their poor campaign ultimately led to the departure of head coach Mindaugas Čepas, who was replaced by former Latvia national team manager Dainis Kazakevich. So, let's talk about the champions. Reigning 2024 champions Žalgiris Vilnius were in total control last season. Apart from a few moments when Hegelmann seemed to close in on Vladimir Čiburin's side, there was never any real doubt about that Žalgiris would indeed reclaim the title. However, their European campaign was far less impressive. Having finished second in 2023, they missed out on the champions' path and had to start directly in the Conference League qualifiers. Their journey there was short-lived as they were eliminated in the second round by Cypriot side Paphos, marking a disappointing international run for a club with the highest UEFI coefficient in the Baltics. Despite this, several players had outstanding seasons. Paulius Golubickas secured the move to Polish Ekstraklasa, while Joel Bapescu joined Armenian champions FC Punic, and Liviu Antal returned to his native Romania, whereas Giedrius Matulevičius remains under contract and will continue with the team for the upcoming season. Fortunately, a core group of key players have committed to staying, including goalkeeper Arpad Tordai, fullbacks Joris Mutaci, centre-backs Jon Zahari and Yuri Kendish, as well as captain Ovidius Verbickas. While Žalgiris still has work to do in the transfer market, their ambitions remain clear, securing another A Lyga title and automatic qualification for European competition, having just won the Lithuania Super Cup in a dramatic match where they let a 2-0 lead over Banga slip and went to penalties. Their ultimate dream of a spot in the Champions League phase remains an ambitious one, let's put it that way. Who are the newcomers this year? FK Riterijai, newly promoted to the season's A Lyga, are making their return to Lithuanian top flight after a brief but shocking relegation. Originally a team based in Trakai, a town just outside of Vilnius, they rebranded and fully relocated in 2019, and they had a pretty good performance in 2010s, which kind of led to their relegation being a surprise. But they're back now. They finished first with 74 points in 30 games, all on the back of local talent and academy players. There was some uncertainty over the club's financial stability, but they have new investors from Singapore, so they should be alright. They are now set for a comeback, and so far, well, they've seen some departures, they've seen some arrivals. Some of the key departures include Armantas Vitkauskas, who joined Banga. Their coach left and was replaced by someone else. Rokas Filipavičius also moved to Banga. And so the coach is Nikola Vitorovic. He came over from Supernova in Latvia and will be leading them in 2025. They did sign also a midfielder, Leif Fernandes. They signed Mainardas Mikulenas from Žalgiris, and they signed Garrison Innocent from Belgian second-tier side KAS Eupen. Predicting how they'll fare in 2025 is difficult, but as a newly promoted club, avoiding relegation will be a successful outcome. Football is full of rivalries, and biggest ones are always a sight to behold, and Lithuania definitely has some of the most passionate fans in the Baltics, at least as the Super Cup amply demonstrated. But they are not particularly known for fierce rivalries. Largely, there's not a lot of history in A Lyga clubs, and the lack of these long-standing traditions makes it difficult for derbies to develop, but there's also a geographical distribution that doesn't see many clubs in the same cities, unlike in Latvia and Estonia. Most of the encounters do involve Žalgiris Vilnius. They are a dominant force in Lithuanian football, and they are typically the club aiming for the title each season. So one of the most exciting clashes could be between them and Hegelmann. After finishing first and second last year respectively, their meeting promises to be highly competitive, especially given that Hegelmann haven't lost to Žalgiris in a while now, so that should be exciting. Another potential rivalry is between Žalgiris Vilnius and Kauno Žalgiris. Names aside, Kauno Žalgiris, on the back of their successful basketball club, do quietly aspire to challenge for the A Lyga title, so let's see how they get on. They made some interesting signings, including Romualdas Jansonas, who is a graduate of the Žalgiris Vilnius Academy, and this could add an extra layer of intensity to their encounters. Interestingly, it will be to see Žalgiris Vilnius versus Dynamo, because both of the fan groups are highly passionate, they're very, very enthusiastic, they're very energetic, so whenever the two meet, the atmosphere is just amazing. Another noteworthy derby could include the Žemaitija regional derby between Žuigas and Banga, as well as the Kaunas derby between Kauno Žalgiris and Hegelmann. But these are not real derbies, as it were, but still could be interesting to follow. There's a lot of great talent in A Lyga, which should come as no surprise, and we've selected 5 players that we think warrant special attention. Number 1, Giedrius Matulevičius, arguably the best Lithuanian player in A Lyga, had a breakout season last year, cementing his place as a key figure in Vilnius Žalgiris. Delivered impressive 11 goals and 6 assists over 35 games and played a pivotal role in securing the Lithuanian championship. He should be able to take on more time and a bigger role now that a bunch of other key players have left. As long as he maintains his form and consistency from last season, he is bound to attract interest from foreign clubs and solidify his place in the Lithuanian national team. Number 2, Yannis Azuazi. Information on him remains limited, but he is undoubtedly one of the most intriguing newcomers for Hegelmann, last season's A Lyga runners-up. Under the guidance of coach Skerla, the club has been very active this off-season, and they secured some interesting signings, including this 20-year-old French-Moroccan attacking midfielder. He is a graduate of the Montpellier HSC Academy, of course the youth system of the 2012 French champions, and it's just going to be super interesting to see how he adapts to A Lyga and what shows us what he's got. Number 3, Romualdas Jansonas, undoubtedly talented striker, but yet to prove himself in Lithuania's top flight. Last season, under Čiburin in FK Žalgiris, he saw a little bit of playing time, certainly insufficient to showcase his full potential, but he still made a strong impression in the Youth League qualifiers. He scored in only 4 games, he scored 6 goals, including a hat-trick against the New Saints from Wales and a goal against Manchester United's youth team. Now with a fresh start at Kauno Žalgiris and hopefully more playing time, maybe we'll see him emerge as one of the top scorers in A Lyga this season. Should be fun. Arianger Smith. After an entire season without any game time, this Nicaraguan international is set for a return to Panevėžys. Although it's again unclear what's going to happen. He was one of the standout players in 2023, helping Panevėžys secure the championship. And, he was initially supposed to be back last season, but never made it onto the field, so all eyes will be on him to see if he can rediscover his best form after such a long absence. Will he make a successful comeback? Start of the season should give us some answers. Finally, Mantas Bertašius. After Banga's historic 2024 season, where they finished 5th, and more importantly won the Cup, which allows them to now debut in European competitions, several players stood out, but more than most, Bertašius. He's a 24-year-old goalkeeper. He did really well, got called up to the national team as a result, and there's been interest from foreign clubs in him as well. but he opted to stay and guide Banga to their European debut, which is good on him. But this does mean that this season could be a defining one for him and an opportunity to establish himself as one of the best goalkeepers in Lithuania and potentially secure a move abroad in 2026 maybe? We'll see. We think the A Lyga will pan out like this. We think Žalgiris will win, or rather retain. Hegelman will finish second, Kauno Žalgiris will finish third, followed by Panevėžys, Šiauliai, Banga Gadžai, Sūduva Marijampolė, Dainava Alytus, Čuikis Telšiai, and, well, we think Riterijai will not avoid relegation, but let's see. Alright, let's move on to Latvia. The 2024 Tonybet Virsliga season was remarkable, maybe not for the reasons that you necessarily expect. There were two prominent stories that stood out. On the one hand, the dominance of RFS, and on the other, the utter disappointment of FK Liepaja. FK Liepaja's disappointing season began with, very realistic concerns about their relegation. But after a summer rebuild, they did manage to recover and finished in 6th place, which for them is still not great, ahead of Meta and Tukums. A new entrance to the championship, Grobinės SCLFS, now FK Grobinė, brought a lot of excitement to the league, especially in the Liepaja derby against FK Liepaja. It was a fantastic matchup to see, very electric, very passionate. BFC Daugavpils were contenders for relegation before the championship began, but surprised everyone, climbing 2nd place in the league 2 months into the season and ultimately finishing 5th. They might even get to debut in the Conference League because, sadly, Valmiera no longer exists in the Virsliga. Riga FC continued to struggle in their attempts to dethrone RFS, despite RFS playing on 3 fronts, winning domestic double and performing in the Europa League, but Riga FC's unconvincing performance early in the season may have cost them the championship. Battle against relegation was also intense, with Jelgava and Grobinė competing for survival. Grobinė, despite a completely abysmal second half of the season, did manage to hold on to 9th place, and Jelgava did get relegated, but they're back because of this whole Valmiera situation. Now, what to expect of RFS? They had what is undoubtedly an extraordinary season. They call it the magic season. They won the domestic double, they reached the Europa League phase, and there they became the first Latvian team to secure a win, and not against anybody, but against Ajax Amsterdam, home at the Daugava Stadium, proving almost everyone wrong by not finishing last with no points or no goals scored. Yeah, that was a common prediction after the draw. But this success might cost them and might bring some challenges in this new season. They started preparing for last season in January 2024. It only had like a 2 or 3 week break last Christmas since then. So as a result, they might be fatigued emotionally, physically. They're not particularly young. They do have experienced players on all positions, and it's just going to be interesting how they kick off season 2025 after such a season 2024. Key departures won't help them either. Adam Markiev is away. He's joined Aris Limassol. Emerson, RFS's all-time top goal scorer, left for Japan after 5 years with the club. But they do have some replacements, and some of these are proven players from the Baltic, including Japanese midfielder Karashima from FK Žalgiris, Valmiera FC, one of the captains, Jeremy Porsan Clemente, and Mortal Gay from Auda. However, given their struggles with injuries last season and average age of starting lineup around 27-28, it's not going to be easy to replicate their previous success and achieve a three-peat in the Virsliga, to borrow some NBA vocabulary. The big Riga derby is perhaps the most exciting of the derbies in the Baltics to look forward to. It's always a party when Riga and RFS play each other, especially at the iconic Skonto Stadium. With RFS winning the first Virsliga derby of last season and Riga taking the last, RFS with Viktoras Moras at the helm will look forward to taking on what was his 10th Riga FC manager. Yeah, that's how many managers Riga FC had since former Latvia international was unexpectedly elevated to RFS hot seat back in February 2020. But anyway, The big Riga derby, other than the Super Cup on the 1st of March, will be on the 26th of April, and the first one at Skonto will be on 18th of June. Liepa versus Grobinja should be exciting. The Liepa derby will continue in its second year. Liepa are undergoing yet another rebuild, while Grobinja secured a committed investor who is injecting extra cash into the club. How will this affect them? We'll find out already on 16th of March. Now, the newcomers, sort of. SK Supernova. They are back to Virsliga after getting relegated in 2023. They are coming back without the previous Salaspils name, as maybe you remember them as. So it's just Supernova now. They'll play in Riga. They will play at LNK Sporta Parks, which is where RFS plays. And they are now managed by Ervins Perkons, which means they are expected to be an exciting team to watch indeed. Perkons previously led Jelgava to the Virsliga in 2023 with an engaging style of football, but there were some issues with the club ownership, so he left early in the season, but was appointed to lead Supernova. And lead them he did to promotion to Virsliga, winning the second tier outright. Since then, he attracted some very interesting new players for the upcoming season, including veteran Latvian defender Marcis Osh, who's a former national team player and will provide a lot of leadership and stability in defense next to Veikriegers. They got Franks Davids Orals on loan from RFS, who was instrumental in helping Daugavpils finish as high as they did last season. Also earned himself a call-up to the senior Latvian national team. And, with generally the bottom six, as they're called, of Virsliga, do seem to be closely matched for the 2025 in terms of both quality and skill. So predicting how Supernova will do exactly, you can't do that. But one thing is for sure, Ervins Perkons' team will not give up easily and will be a tough nut to crack. 5 players to watch for Virsliga. Kristaps Grabovskis, on loan from Rapid Wien to Meta until the summer, so catch him while you can. He's set to continue his first real experience in senior football. He's 19 years old, he's a winger, he's pretty small, but very technical, very difficult to get ball off of him without sort of just forcing him off. And he did earn high praise from Andris Riherts, who suggested that he might just be a step away from call-up to the senior national team, which for a 19-year-old whose career abroad is yet to take off is a bold statement indeed, but you never know. He is exceptionally talented. There is no doubt about that. Jānis Ikalnieks, two-time Latvia Footballer of the Year, undoubtedly one to watch. Let's see what happens this year. Last year, he scored 16 goals and provided 7 assists. He was the top scorer of Europa League qualification phase and generally one of the league's standout performers. He's expected to continue in stride and be dominant and influential in RFS's creative midfield. Mortal Agay, the shortest player in the Virsliga, but one of the quickest. He made a winter move from Auda to RFS and has already managed to get himself in the starting lineup in RFS's preseason friendlies. He's highly praised by everyone, including RFS's management, and last season scoring 6 goals and 8 assists. We think he might improve on these numbers, given that RFS do kind of like their wing play system, and he might do very, very well there indeed. João Grimaldo. It's always intriguing to watch a player representing their national team make the move to the Virsliga. Just a year and a half ago, Partizan signed him for nearly 1.5 million euros, and his current transfer market value stands at 1 million. With 8 appearances for the Peru national team, including a match against Messi in Argentina, not a friendly, a competitive match, he's one of the top performers in the Peruvian league. Should be an interesting one to keep an eye on, so definitely do that. Another one, Enzo Monteiro. Similar to Grimaldo, just 20 years old, he's a bit younger, has 5 caps for the Bolivian national team and was a standout player for Santos U20. Of course, we know Santos as a club that brought us the likes of Neymar and Robinho. And this young Bolivian remains, we don't know much about him yet. This will be his first stint in Europe. But if he doesn't make a big impact at Auda, it will be strange. There's a organizational change in the Virsliga as well. Thanks to RFS qualifying for Conference League and the Europa League, Latvian clubs stand to receive a lot more solidarity payments for the next 3 years. Why is that important? It's important because smaller clubs will see their budgets almost double, which might be a huge game changer. Some of this will be offset by the player registration fees, foreign player registration fees, but if they use this money wisely, well, it might result in a qualitative jump for Latvian association football. In terms of 2025, we think RFS will win. We think Riga will be second out the third, same as last season. Liepa will come in fourth, followed by Meta, Daugavpils, Supernova, Jelgava, Grobiņa, and we think Tukums will finish last in 2025. Alright, finally, last but not least, Estonia. 2024 season saw Levadia completely dominate the league. Indeed, they dominated the year before, but missed out on the title thanks to a VAR error the year prior. Now, there are some complications with the Estonian Cup for Flora, the traditionally big team in Estonia, because the Estonian Cup runs a bit longer and Flora finished fourth. They now sort of have to hope that one of the top three wins the cup, meaning hoping that Levadia, Kalju or Paide lift the Estonian Cup in May so that they can go and participate in Europe. Aside from that, Tammeka proved everyone wrong. They ended up fifth and just behind Narva Trans, whereas people thought they'll finish 10th generally. Tallinna Kalev, who got a European spot the year before, finished 9th in a terrible season. Noma United, newly promoted side for last season, got relegated, couldn't cut it in the end despite bringing in reinforcements during the summer. And generally it was an intensive season. What can we expect from Levadia? Let's talk about the champions. They made some very strong statements from the get-go, beating both Narva and Kuressaare 6-0 in the first two game weeks, and then Nome Kalju 6-1, and generally by week 18 it was pretty certain that they will take the title, which they did, secure 4 games before the end of season. Didn't go super well for them in Europe. They got Croatian side Osijek, losing 6-1 across both legs, but they did beat Šiauliai from Lithuania 2-0 on aggregate. Between the two seasons, a few key players, namely Yakovlev, Fomba, made moves abroad. Lemets, Tambedu, and Otu all came in. They did retain most of their core team, and we think that they will probably do pretty well in 2025 as well. Now, Harju are back. Harju are back to the Premium Liga for the second time in 3 seasons. They suffered relegation on the final match day of 2023, but quickly bounced back and managed to gain automatic promotion against Vimsi in S Lyga, which is the Estonian second tier. So they're back now. They kept their core. They brought back some familiar names from the 2023 season, like Kasper Romusar, Ivans Baturins, and Jusalifa Jose Indi, while also adding Christopher Picht and Kasper Laur to their roster. They have their former academy graduate Kartau returning from Italy, and while, it's hard to, again, say what to expect of them in 2025, but history is not on their side. Every team in recent years, other than Legion in 2020, that went up also went down right away. So let's see what happens to them. Now, hopefully the 2025 Premium Liga season will be more similar to 2023 than to last year, when almost nothing was certain until the final whistle of the final match. That being said, there should be fights across the table, from title fight to the relegation fight. And this will pose a lot of questions. Who will go down? Who will claim European spots? Who will prove everyone wrong? And who will prove everyone right? Tallinn Derby and Railway Derby are the two most exciting matchups in Estonia and should be very, very fierce this season. In terms of players to watch, Tambedu in Levadia is one of them. The Gambian is back in Estonia, joining the champions and looking to fill the spot left vacant by Yakovlev. On his day, he is easily one of the contenders for player of the season, alongside the likes of Agiuri and Martin Miller, Speaking of Martin Miller, he's another one to watch. Returning from Bohemians in Ireland, he's joining Paide and will look to boost their midfield. Estonian international will probably play a big part in Paide's season and hopefully see them make a serious attempt at the title. Tristan Koskor from Tammeka is back to Tartu. He was the top scorer in 2023. He rejoined halfway through 2024, made an instant impact, scored 6 goals in 12 games, and is definitely one to reckon with. Tristan Pajo from Vaprus initially joined again in 2023, helping Vaprus secure survival in the top flight, and he's quick and agile. Let's see how he gets on this year. We think Levadia will retain the title. We think Paide will finish second. We think Kalju will finish third. Flora will finish fourth again. Narva again will finish fifth. We think Vaprus will be up to sixth. Tammeka 7. Harju number 8. We do think that they will survive. Kalev number 9. And we think that Kuressaare might get relegated in 2025. Now, we know that the beginning of the season is not going to be a warm one. It's still winter pretty much in the Baltics, and it's maybe a bit warmer in Lithuania, maybe a bit colder in Estonia, and still not particularly comfortable in Latvia either. Which is why our friends at RFS have decided to hook you up with some merch. A hat and a scarf of new designs for 2025 is awaiting a lucky winner who will be chosen after, well, here's what you need to do. Comment on this video on YouTube, so subscribe and comment on this episode which of the Baltic teams you support. Now, doesn't have to be RFS. This will not have an impact on your chances to win, but on March 16th we will select one lucky winner and contact them, and you will get this lovely bag and its contents, which is a winter hat and a scarf to keep you warm and keep reminding of the magical time on the Daugava Stadium when RFS beat Ajax, or maybe drew with Galatasaray. Either way, subscribe to our YouTube channel and comment on this video. And yeah, let's get into it. Football is back. We're very excited, and let's see how the season goes.